Yes, yes. Here we are once again. Just calling me one thing. It's Wednesday. It's noon Eastern Time. It is time for the High Noon Hemp Show. Of course, we're live on video and video on demand. Of course, the Temptations Beach Facebook page, also at Temptations on Twitter, and of course, the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. Click the little notification bell so it will alert you on your phone or other device when we are live. If you want the audio, you don't want all that video noise, you don't want to see the products, you don't want to see what awesome stuff Beach is wearing, that's fine. That's your choice. You can do so on Podbean, excuse me, and of course Google Play and iHeartRadio. Just search the High Noon Hemp Show. It is season 9, as you can see there. It is also, as I have informed Beach just before we went on the air, we've done this for 2 full calendar years. On September 5th, 2018, the world famous High Noon Hemp Show
Peace.
took to the airwaves. And as you can see, the world has never been the same. I'm not saying we're to blame for all of it,
Ever.
but, I really think things really went downhill when they killed Hammurabi, the gorilla. It's been all downhill since then, so we won't take the blame
It's true.
for everything that's going on.
Right.
I am Joe
I
Clare.
agree with that.
He is the man himself, Beach. High above the Temptations in Sharonville. Beach, does it feel like 2 years?
It does not. I am amazed. Actually, that when you told me that, I was not. I mean, in my head, it's maybe a year, honestly. So
Yeah, I had to go back and look to
we
make
must
sure.
we must
And
still be having fun. Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Keep
if
getting
we had
renewed.
music coming in, obviously unlicensed, today's song would also be number 9. Number 9. Number 9, because there's a lot of nines. It's a 9, but it's 9-9. And so season 9 started on 9-9.
Indeed.
And yes, celebrating 2 years of being on the digital airwaves. And yes, I am high above the Hemptations in Sharonville, what I call the Hemp Quarters 4. Thank you very much for watching the High Noon Hemp Show, or listening later, or
Indeed.
watching later, or whatever it may be. So a lot of stuff going on. It's we're getting into the fall. It's harvest season. Seems like a lot of stuff going on with hemp. I don't know if that's really what's affecting it, but locally, or should I say, Ohio hemp news. There is an Ohio company, and I'm not going to mention their name because, in my opinion, this is nothing bad. But they got in trouble with the state for producing a CBD product without a license.
Oh my.
And so that's the first that I've heard of. And again, it's a ridiculous idea that you have to have a license to manufacture hemp goods. Again, if you were going to make a pair of jeans, you'd have to have a license to do that if you were going to grow and then manufacture in the state of Ohio. And it may just be, even if you were growing in another state, you were going to bring it here to make that fiber into a pair of jeans. You got to pay a license to the state of Ohio, which is, again, totally ridiculous. They weren't doing anything wrong. In my opinion, they clean facility from what they were saying. The only thing they were lacking, again, they didn't get in trouble because they weren't using the CBD that they were supposed to be in their products or anything like that. It was just because they didn't have a license from the state to make a hemp product. And so, they say they're going to get their license and they'll be good. And so it should not have to pay a license to do that. Again, what would encourage us to make our products in Ohio? If we have to pay a license to do that, we can make them in any state around us with no license. And so, again, it's really the state's way in Ohio because that's what they want and that's what they do for everything. It's the state's way of just regulating and keeping track of every little thing that we do as Ohioans, which is just really stupid. It's just stupid.
Government's
In all
favorite
honesty,
pastime.
you know. And so, we'll see what else happens with that. Again, I guess that was really, they didn't get in any real trouble. I don't believe. I think they just got shut down until now they have to go through the license process and get their license, and then hopefully they'll be able to go back to doing whatever they were doing. But again, just more proof. Again, state of Ohio's rules are they're too much. The licensing fees too much. It's too much. Just let us make our hemp products. Again, the CBD, the plants had already been tested in the field. again, I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm never going to get it until it's changed. Um, that's one thing in the Ohio hemp that should be changed. Um, all right, well, let's get right into the product spotlight. I know I showed this first product as a personal because I've carried a bottle of this around with me since we got this in, which is the hand sanitizer. Um, and it's just a little bottle, and it's like $7, but it does have, I believe, 50 milligrams of CBD in it as well, which is obviously going to be good for your hands. If you have any hand pain, I feel like this may be beneficial because a lot of our customers use the CBD topicals on their hands for various hand pain. And of course, with COVID, of course, we need to sell hand sanitizer. Everybody should have it available just in case you run out wherever you're out. You need some because you should have some.
Yeah.
And up until 6 months ago, I would have said I'm not going to sell any CBD or hemp oil hand sanitizer. I don't even agree with that stuff. But right now it does seem appropriate and it's a good idea. I use it myself.
Absolutely.
And so the next one, I know I have shown these before, but we're getting the small packages packaged up and getting out to the stores again that have run out recently. But it's the hemp straws, and again, they are biodegradable, compostable, they are reusable, and so it's not. After the first use, you see that it breaks down. I think that if you let it sit in liquid for a long time, it's probably going to just basically disappear. Which is should be the purpose of any plastic-like composite. A regular straw stays in the landfill. A plastic straw stays in the landfill for hundreds of years. When the litter bugs throw them out their window, and it gets mowed up, and then in the little pieces, and then the birds go and they put it in their nest or they eat it, and that's not good. And then somehow gets in the water system, and that's why there's plastic in all of fish in the oceans. And so, this is a great hemp product that can replace a very evil product that exists in our society. And again, I'm not going to say that I've never used a straw before. I'm pretty sure I've tried to recycle all of mine if I ever did. And, now I would obviously use a hemp straw, but these straws are just awful, awful. And so that's something that can be replaced by them. We just got resupplied up on the Aspen Valley flower. And so the first round of this we got in went over really well. And then, of course, there was a little bit of a shortage from the company, and now we're fully stocked back up. So we have different strains of CBD, again, less than 0.3% THC, in many different strains. And then they also have the CBG flower, which is the bluish container there, kind of up to the left. And so if you want to get your CBD in flower form, which is the most natural, except for the smoking part. I'm not saying smoking is necessarily a good idea. I would recommend vaporizing it, probably, if anything. But obviously that is the purest form, unadulterated, as they would say in the world, because it's just flower picked, plucked, and put into a jar, and there you have it. And it's I think the customers are really happy with this line after the initial rounds of having it. And we are going to be, I don't know if we can actually show it by next week, but we are going to be selling Hemptation's brand. I don't know if I can call it Hemptation's strains. I don't know how to describe it, but we will be picking up strains that we're going to be packaging and whatnot ourselves. And so we're not growing them. So we'll see how that goes. But the company that I just hooked up with there probably has 40 different strains to choose from.
Wow.
All grown in a state that has plenty of experience growing cannabis for this reason or another. And so I'm kind of excited about that. What I think is really interesting while I'm talking about this real quick is that we're seeing a lot of strains that are actually THC strains as well. So it's kind of confusing. But I think, again, what they've literally done is taken these strains and somehow bred the THC out of them. And so, again, there's like, we're doing some serious breeding with cannabis again here in the United States, that's for sure. And what's really funny, and ironic is we're breeding it to be of a less quality than what people think they should be getting, even though it is serving its purpose. Cannabis light, like they say in Rome, CBD, low THC stuff, which is again proving that how powerful CBD is on the long list of cannabinoids and terpenes and all the other stuff that's in cannabis to begin with, as far as the flower goes. The last one is for your little kitties. Cats love CBD too. I'm telling you, man, my cat comes a running when we pull out the CBD cat treats. And so if you've got a cat that maybe has some anxiety, maybe he's a little bit up there in age, give him a little try. It's a jar, and there's a lot in there. And I think they're only like 1 milligram a piece or something. It's a pretty small dose because cats, are small and they don't need a whole lot. Cats do have an endocannabinoid system, just like humans and dogs and most vertebrates, from my understanding. If that's kind of the way the brain works in all animals that have a backbone. I don't know why they describe it like that. But again, that's the receptor system in our brain that is meant to take in cannabinoids and then distribute them throughout the body to where the brain believes it could get the most effect from it. And so our brains are wired, and so are cats. And so if you got a kitty that may need some CBD, get into any one of the stores. And I probably will try to get these online. I haven't really added a whole lot to the online, but I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. So you might be able to check there soon. The last one from my door, 4 from the store, 1 from my door, is something that I use periodically, not a lot, but still do use if I feel like I'm going out or something. But that's actually my Leif's Hemp Deodorant, which Leif's doesn't make hemp deodorant anymore. It's decently old. I don't think that humans should wear deodorant. I think an all natural, especially a natural and organic, is much better than the over-the-counter deodorants that we're seeing, or antiperspirants, which are even worse, because we are meant to perspire. It's part of what our body does to cleanse itself, and to stop it from perspiring is just a terrible, terrible idea. I have ascertained in the past the correlation. I don't know if it's causation, a correlation, possibly a causation between breast cancer and antiperspirants. Again, no scientific proof for that, but I sure would love to see a long-term study done to see if antiperspirants don't have a higher, people that use antiperspirants have a higher rate. It's hard to say, but again, breast cancer is new to humans, I believe, for the most part, and the rates that we have it now. And so something we've done in the last 50 to 100 years is causing this increase. We don't think to look at the products that we use every day, because people don't want to stop using those products. What I'd like to know is, what's the breast rate in, say, France, breast cancer rate, percentage-wise? Is it less? Because if it is, that might be my first study, because they don't wear a lot of deodorant over there. I think they probably do more than, say, traditionally, but not really. Again, they believe that more than anything, um, our bodies come with an odor, and we are meant to perspire. It's pure and simple. All right, so there you have it, folks. 4 from the store, 1 from my door.
Indeed.
And now, I'm going to Dave Chappelle. I'm going to go see the Dave Chappelle. Me and Mary are going tonight. We're going to treat ourselves to actually getting out in public.
Wow.
And so, the next, if you're wondering what I might wear.
Real quick before we get to that, Abby in the chat area on Facebook said, first of all, hemp can replace any plastic product. People need to be more aware of this. She also said, in regards to the cat treats, are you getting these treats in all the stores, including the one in Dayton, dog and or cat?
We should. We do have, I believe the dog treats are actually in all the stores. We should have the cat treats in all the stores, including Dayton. If we don't, then I will get them there by Friday. And hemp can replace 60 to 70% of the plastics as far as comparisons go there. But yes, it's a better solution. We all know this, that know this.
Absolutely.
Let's continue to know this and spread the word. Now, if you're wondering
what you should wear in regards to hemp clothing, if you're going to see Dave Chappelle or someone else, I guess really it can be anyone, any public appearance, you can wear clothes and you can wear hemp clothes.
You can. I would suggest it, the clothes part and
yes,
the hemp clothes part. It's true.
This, of course, as people know, if they're long-time listeners, is the greatest single segment to ever appear on the internet. That's right, I said it. Prove me wrong. Go ahead. Give it a shot. We ask the most important question of the day, and Beach gives us that important answer. What are you wearing, Beach?
That's right. Well, I believe I'm wearing my most favorite hat. That is for sure to go out in public in, which is my Make America Hemp Again hat, which I love. It's a great message. And of course, the second best message I could say, or the best message that I wear on a shirt, is hemp equals jobs. Again, I stole this from the governor's breakfast in Kentucky when they were pushing to legalize hemp years and years ago, 10 years ago probably. They had a big banner across the front of the front of the place that said hemp equals jobs. And so I love to go out and support that idea, because it is true. Hemp can make a job in anything. There's no doubt about it. You've got my good old I&I cargo shorts, plenty of pockets. Got to have plenty of pockets if you're going to a show, for stuff. If you look closely, you can see my Green Springs Technology pen there in my pocket as well, carried all the time. I've got my I Love Bad briefs with my Good Morning Company no-show socks and a good old passion fad, one of my favorite pairs of Adidas shell toes as well. And so there you have it. If you're wondering, what are you wearing, Beach, when you go out tonight? That's it. That's not really dressing up. It's a good old-fashioned hemp outfit. So,
there you go.
all right. We got a decent amount of stuff going on. Like I said, I suppose the biggest news this week is the fact that the USDA is reopening their public comment on hemp. And they are looking for, you can comment on anything. The one thing that I would definitely comment on is shooting for a higher THC, which is not on their list of they have 12 things that they would like to hear comment on. So if you're in the business, or you consider yourself an expert, or you just know why one of these things or this way should be done better than this way, get a hold of them. The first one is the measurement of uncertainty for sampling. And so, yes, obviously there needs to be not that. And there's a lot of sampling stuff on here, actually. And so once again, they need to come up with the most logical way to sample the plant. I don't know what liquid chromatography factor of 0.877 is, but if you're in the business, you may know what that means. Um, Disposal and remediation of non-compliant plants. Definitely need to figure out if we could just, allow that biomass to be used for something or whatnot. And again, it's always because there's too much THC, and so once again, we need to raise that THC uh, up a little bit. Negligence. I don't know what that means. I mean, does is it on their part? Negligence on their part? Because yes, you should address the USDA's negligence on their part to treat this fairly. Their negligence to treat the plant like any other plant, any other agricultural commodity that's grown in the United States. They're not doing that, and they need to do that. Interstate commerce. I thought this was actually already dealt with federally when it comes to the federal government was backing that interstate commerce is okay. And so I don't know why they want comments on that. Particularly, maybe something happened that I don't know about, but I was pretty sure that the federal government at some point came out and said, yes, it's legal, and yes, you can cross state lines with it. The 15-day harvest window, which is something that's in Ohio as well, it's just a ridiculous idea. I mean, would you test any other agricultural plant and then make the person wait 15 days before they can harvest? Again, what kind of, that's telling a farmer how to do his job. And that's actually putting a timeline on farming. And again, a lot can happen to a crop in 15 days. A lot can happen to a crop in 15 days.
Yeah.
And so, I dare the Ohio Department or the USDA to be able to know what the weather's going to be like, to know what to say, okay, you got to do your test. You got to know when to do your test 2 weeks ahead of when you want to harvest your plants. Like, that is just, again, one of the most ridiculous ideas that we could have come up with for this plant. Again, if I'm growing for a pair of jeans, it doesn't matter. I want to grow as long as I can to get that plant as tall as I can. And so then I go, it's just ridiculous. I would definitely comment on the 15-day harvest window. And again, get a hold of the state of Ohio about the 15-day harvest window, because it's ridiculous. This is an interesting one. The hemp seedlings, microgreens, and clones. Now, part of that's one thing, part of that's another thing, because clones and seedlings would most likely be talking about plants that you would buy to grow yourself as far as farming. Now, microgreens to me sounds like they're concerned about lettuce or salad or sprouts. And, I remember years ago when a brilliant young lady came up to me and she thought, man, what about hemp sprouts? And I thought, man, it's genius, because hemp pops up so quickly and it gets to the, that 4-inch sprout size pretty quickly. And as a microgreen, I don't know what, again, we'd have to find out what kind of nutrition we could get out of that. But, all that takes is a lot of hemp seed. And it doesn't matter whether it's male or female, to be honest with you. I think if you get nutritional benefit from eating the greens, whether it's the leafy greens, the leaves, or it's a sprout, like an alfalfa sprout. But this was definitely something, and I thought, man, what a great idea. When, you should start farming and then look into that. But now it's obviously an issue as to, again, what do you do for microgreens when it comes to having a 15-day harvest window? You put it in the ground, you test it as a seed, and then 15 days later, when it's tall enough to be a sprout, you're done and you get to harvest it. Again, that's the ridiculousness of that to begin with. Well, it's not going to have any THC if you test the seed, I can guarantee you that, but you'll kill the seed testing the seed. So how do you grow the sprout from the seed that you need to harvest in 2 weeks? Seems like a serious conundrum in the hemp world. We know hemp oil, the hemp seed, and the oil from the hemp seed is huge health benefits to the human body. So who's not to say that hemp sprouts are a good source of greens? Who's to say that? And we are seeing hemp salads. I am seeing more of a hemp leaf salad pop up every once in a while. I don't know what that's going to taste like. I am curious, would be curious to find out. Um, and again, that's probably roughage just like you get from eating any other type of salad if it's a better leafy green. I'm not talking about lettuce. I'm talking about spinach or kale or any one of those ones, arugula, that actually have nutrients in them, and also works as I think most of those work is to get roughage through your system. So, the comment for all that should be yes, all that should be allowed. Hemp breeding and research. Why is that? I mean, to me, I don't understand that one, because the whole thing was originally based around schools of higher learning, and so now are they saying that now they have to go back and do something special to do breeding and researching? Breeding we obviously need. Why would that we should be on top of this? Because we start breeding here in the United States, then we start perfecting the seed, or at least coming up with more certified seed that produces what our farmers want to grow for. That's going to be hugely beneficial to us on the global side. We can start selling seed back to countries that have been growing industrial hemp for thousands of years, but they haven't changed anything. And, obviously it's working for them. And so it's not really that big of a deal. But once again, the biggest issue right now is certified seed and all that, which, depending on what you're growing for, does matter. I agree. And so obviously that should be wide open. You shouldn't need a license to do that. You shouldn't have to be, obviously you're going to be doing testing. Obviously you're going to test the plants. So it's going to be part of the breeding and research, I'm sure. But it shouldn't be mandatory. It should just be logical that that's what someone's going to do that's going to do breeding and research. You got the sampling methodology, flower versus whole plant. Now, obviously, I would be whole plant here, because whole plant is going to come up with a lot less of everything, whether it's CBD, THC, whatever it may be, because all that stuff is really in the flower. There would be a little bit on the leaves surrounding the flower. The stalk doesn't contain any of that stuff, or I don't know scientifically. I'm going to assume that the stalk has very little of any of those nutrients. It may have some. And so I can tell you this, in other countries and here as well, they use the whole plant to get even the CBD out of it. And so if you're going to use the whole plant, then they should test the whole plant. But once again, what we really need to tell them is stop testing everything.
Seems like a lot of
really,
involvement, just every big
really
minutia and every detail, and
yeah, it does not make me. I grew up on a farm, want to be a farmer. To grow hemp has been my lifelong dream.
Yeah, it sounds like
just
a
to
headache.
see it grow in the United States. But again, I don't. That's why I'm not involved in Ohio right now. It's because just dealing with Ohio is terrible, but dealing with the federal government is just as bad, because they're the one that's most of this stuff comes down from. It's like, well, if we're going to micromanage it, then you should micromanage it as a state. And to qualify for the USDA, then you have to micromanage it. And so, yeah, it is. It really is. The only thing that should be tested, if there's any questions, should be the product that's going on the counter.
You would think.
That's it. That's it. I mean, who the heck cares, in all honesty, what the plant is you're growing? It depends on what goes to the consumer. And if you have to worry about what's going to the consumer, then that product is the one that really you should go test. which means it should be up to them to find the ones that have too much stuff in it. It shouldn't be up to, I mean, every other industry is self-regulating for the most part. And so, once again, it's just too much. You got your sampling methodology. So I'm sure the ones out there that have to have their stuff sampled. You got homogeneous composition, frequency, volume, all these different things. And so once again, we don't even have a uniform system testing. This is why once again, they found out how difficult this really was because they suspended the idea that you had to have your stuff tested in a DEA laboratory. And so, they're finding that there are, once again, many different ways to test. And so, how that's getting done obviously has different results. I don't know which one's beneficial to the other, but once again, we're back to the fact that why does any of this stuff have to really be done? You got your sampling agents, which obviously I'm not sure what that means, but the stuff that's added to the sample when they have to take the sample, once again, more confusion, not less confusion coming from the federal government. And then, of course, the DEA laboratory registration, which just needs to be done. But obviously, having any lab be able to test is confusing things because, once again, if you know that this particular type of testing produces a number more beneficial to your product, then you're going to go there. If you don't, then all of a sudden you're tested this way and it causes a spike, even though you may not have the spike. You may still be where it's just because of the way it was tested. Then all of a sudden you're getting screwed because different tests. And so, yes, obviously, using the one style of testing one way or another, but it's got to be the right one that shows the numbers when all this stuff shouldn't be tested to begin with. And that's really what you should be telling the USDA. All in all, stop all the testing stuff. Find the products that go to market that you deem to be, that's the police's job. If I start selling a product here and it's got too much THC in it, then there's an issue there that has to be dealt with. But to take it all the way back to the farmer and then the process, again, I don't, and I realize that's also asking for a lot of good faith and there's going to be shenanigans, but you have to know what you're buying when you're it. You should. And I'm not saying that there's a perfect world. Like I couldn't buy something that had too much THC or something in it from someone and not know. But I can sure tell you if I ever found out or they, it came out that they were, then I wouldn't sell that product anymore, one way or another. So, it's all got to be clarified. And the only way to really clarify it is just to make it more simple, which is raise the THC, stop testing everything, let people have their CBD and THC and terpenes and Delta 8 and whatever else to begin with. Hopefully the government's going to work that out in the next couple of weeks because the rumor is that they may work that out in the next couple of weeks. If cannabis is taken off the controlled substance list, then that really, really helps the CBD industry, to be honest with you. Really helps the CBD industry. It's still up to the states, but it still opens things wide open for all industrial hemp, to be honest with you. So we'll see what happens there. But, I brought up the military doesn't let their people use CBD in any form. And I even mentioned, which I like to do when I talked about it, how if they use a topical, it doesn't matter because the CBD THC makes it to the bloodstream. Well, this is what the military, this is how they reacted to my statements. They said no to CBD topicals. I'm saying they're recording me, but that just came out this week that they even wanted to clarify that you can't use hemp shampoo, you can't use CBD anything topically on the skin or whatever. You just can't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's evil, according to the military. Again, just so ridiculous. So ridiculous. On the other hand, Pakistan has made hemp legal to grow, so good for Pakistan. Levi's, and I know I talk about this. They had came out with this all white, what they called cottonized hemp stuff, but they are releasing what's called the high loose and the stay loose lines of hemp clothing. Well, they call it hemp clothing, but it's really only about a quarter hemp.
Wow.
So, after I did a little investigating, most of it is 23%. I don't know why, but it's like 23% hemp. And so that's actually cotton hemp. It's not cottonized hemp. It's cotton hemp. It's cotton with a little bit of hemp mixed in. I will give them a little credit. They did go ahead and name a color after me. It's called the Beach Break. It's the Beach Break Cotton Hemp, and it's a color. It's not a fabric. It's a color. And so, a quarter hemp is better than no hemp. And there is a couple different styles of jeans, men's and women's, jean jackets and whatnot. Not cheap, of course. Levi's aren't cheap to begin with. Well, you know that their 23% hemp jeans aren't going to be cheap either. But, as I have always said, 1% hemp is better than 0% hemp. So 23% hemp as a move towards 50% hemp, and if they can get to 50% hemp, then they get to 70, and they hopefully just keep going the direction of removing the cotton and keep bringing that percentage of hemp up. And so, good for them for at least doing that, as far as making that move. Because again, anybody that uses cotton, especially in jeans, if you're a jean company, you're not trying to figure out how to get hemp into your jean material. It's just, what a ridiculous idea. Again, 4 to 6 times stronger. I mean, the biggest complaint about jeans is, they lose the knees or they start to wear out quickly because it's inferior cotton that's being used. Most of my jeans, I don't think I got the first hole in a pair of hemp jeans after I'd worn them, on a semi-regular basis after 10 or 15 years. 10 or 15 years. And I still have a lot of hemp jeans that I've had for a long time in my closets, as you know from the "What are you wearing, Beach?" segment. So anyway, good for Levi, good for Levi's. Now let's start boosting that number up. And just so you know, the rumor of Levi's using hemp in their jeans back in the day, 100 years ago, is not true. It's not true. It's not true. I have found zero evidence that support that. And so it's too bad, but it is one of the most distributed rumors, myths, I should say, in the industrial hemp world, is that the original Levi's were made from hemp. They were not. Not that I have shown any proof of that whatsoever. But good for them for bringing it in to their lines now. I'm sure everybody's going to be like, it's about time you brought hemp back. Like, no, they did. Cascadia Hemp Company is starting hemp cooking classes online. So you go to Cascadia Hemp Company .com, and you go to the shop button, and they have a lot of industrial hemp products. They have some industrial hemp products. I didn't say a lot. But you go down to Cooking with Hemp, and it is $20 a class, but you can use the code HEMP2020 for a discount, 10% off or something. So if you want to take a Cooking with Hemp class, go to Cascadia Hemp Company, find them online. I'll put this link on the web page as soon as I can. So you can remind yourself if you want to take a hemp cooking class. In an article titled "The Most Sustainable Fabrics We Can Purchase Today," organic hemp is right next to linen, which was the number one in sustainability. Of course, because it's ultra durable and world renowned. I like the way they actually put that in, world renowned hemp. You know, like linen isn't known all over the world, which is made by from flax, if you didn't know. And of course, you can make a linen weave from hemp that feels like linen, looks like linen. It's also quick growing, requires no pesticides and hardly any water. And then they add countless uses from milk to cosmetics to construction materials to fabric. And so, good for them. The last little bit here, speaking of the food, you've got an Atlanta restaurant, Woodward and Park, opening just in a couple days. And their roasted cauliflower comes with toasted hemp seeds. So if you're in Atlanta and you're willing to go out to a brand new restaurant, like I would go on the first night because I'm sure that's the cleanest, less COVID you'll find.
Yeah.
But you are willing to go out and eat out, then try the Woodward and Park restaurant and get yourself a roasted cauliflower with toasted hemp seeds. Sounds delish. I just had a cauliflower dip. It was like a buffalo dip and a spicy dip. And man, I tell you what, we do not use cauliflower enough to replace products that are made from like the worst. It's like, again, it's like we can replace these dips that are like made from food product that's barely food product for humans. You know, make it out of cauliflower and all this stuff. It's like, you know, it was good stuff. It was good stuff. So anyway, cauliflower and hemp, that's got to be good. Oh, let's see. We got a couple events in October, again, at the end of the month in Vienna, Austria, 24th through the 26th. You've got the Hemp Expo. I don't know if it's still going on. I probably should find out. If you haven't made your plans to go, you should probably do that now.
Yeah.
October 6th and 7th, you've got the RAD Expo in Las Vegas, where the future of cannabis retail begins. And then October 10th is the Kentucky Hemp and CBD Trade Show in Frankfort, Kentucky. And there are some things, kind of some virtual stuff going online if you want to go. And I haven't really seen a whole lot of stuff. I thought I would start seeing more stuff. Maybe they're not seeing as much of the virtual stuff because it's a lot harder to manage than a trade show. You know, to take a trade show and put it online to do all the speakers and things like that. You know, I think it might be turning out to be a little bit more difficult than imagined. Might be one of those harder things to do virtually. But you know, every once in a while, something. Again, the cooking classes, we see more. I think we're going to see more stuff like that, maybe. As far as hemp-related virtual, and they're finding it hard, I think, to charge people for the virtual stuff. And it's also very hard to do the virtual stuff. And so it's kind of a circle of just not really working out the best right now for everyone. So, you know, I think that once again, we're going to start maybe November, December, start seeing some people trying to do some more come out and see us type stuff. We'll see. You know, I don't want to be, you know, again, it all depends on whether there's a vaccine. And there's all depends on whether it keeps dropping. If we keep doing the things we're supposed to be doing. That was interesting. Now they're all, you know, they're telling us about the flu season where I think, you know, if we're wearing masks and washing our hands, shouldn't that be cutting down on flu? I mean, you know, is the flu shot that important to the national economy or whatever they're doing with flu shots that we really need it this year, because we all should be wearing masks and washing our hands. And I feel like the spread of the flu should be like cut to nothing from what they've been telling us in the past, you know? And so it's kind of weird now they're out there still pumping the flu shots where they should just be saying, keep wearing your mask, keep washing your hands. You know, don't mistake the flu for COVID. Maybe that's the big message, but I don't know if we really, you know, need as many people vaccinated for the flu this year because, and again, you know, if you want to go get vaccinated for the flu, go right ahead. If you want to go get vaccinated for COVID, I highly encourage that you do when that comes out. I'm going to go with herd immunity and hope that the majority of the people get vaccinated. And so when I don't, you know, I run the risk anyway. But I will continue to wear a mask and keep my hands clean and worry about this until I really think that, I don't have to worry about it anymore, I suppose, just like everybody else is
Yeah.
doing, which is driving a lot of people crazy. So, thanks everyone. This is something you can do while quarantined still. Watch the High Noon Hemp Show. Go to YouTube. Watch other episodes on the Jedi Hemp channel. Check out the podcast if the side of me is something you don't wish.
If you find us
But
objectionable.
that's right. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Will be the
It's
first
got
time I've
cast
been told that.
with video anyway. Then it's okay with me. And remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, make everything else out of hemp. Having temptations.
See you all next week.